Welcome back. Episode 54 of the Young Old Heads podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Tommy, aka TV Sports Cards, and I'm here with my good friend and co-host Max, aka Cards Max, aka Cards Max Diamond Anniversary Edition. Max, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm elucidated now that the light has shined on me that Platinum Anniversary still exists and it wasn't just a one-time spin-off set. Chromium edition. That's the parallel state of mind right now.
I don't really understand the rhyme or reason behind like which gems are given to which year anniversary. You know what I'm saying? Like Diamond Anniversary. Why is Diamond the 60th anniversary? How does that make any sense? I don't know.
Oh, I thought you were thinking about Platinum Chrome Anniversary, not the Diamond from 2011.
This is what I'm talking about, though. Why is Platinum 70th anniversary? How does that make any sense?
No. I was talking about the 1952 Chrome Redux
I know,
released.
I know.
Yeah, okay, I know. You're very knowledgeable, you know.
But that's what they're saying. Like, that's 70 years since that set. Therefore, it's Platinum Anniversary Edition. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, diamonds are forever.
Diamonds are forever, but I guess diamonds are only 60 years.
I'm not a
How do,
businessman. I'm a businessman.
Speaking of business, there's been some business going on in the world of basketball. Not a sports analysis podcast, but the Nuggets are up 3-1. Never a sports analysis podcast. But they are up 3-1. It is looking likely that they are going to win tonight. Not that the game has started yet. We're recording here at 6:58 Central Standard Time on Monday, June 12th.
Which is an inferior time zone.
The weirdest time zone really only applies to Chicago. Sorry, the rest of the Midwest. Kind of irrelevant. But Jokic is going to win Finals MVP in all likelihood. I mean, definitely. Jamal Murray is along for the ride. We have some dudes like Michael Porter Jr. He's kind of an underwhelming series. Jimmy Butler is clearly hurt on his ankle. Kind of a bummer. It would be nice to see the Heat at full strength against this Nuggets team. But I just have top of mind Jokic stuff. Max, have you ever owned any Jokic cards?
The last and maybe the only Jokic card that I owned was a PSA 9 2015 Silver Prism. I want to say I bought it in about December. I cracked it. I sent it to BGS at 9.5. This was before Jokic had any MVP hype, and he historically is a slow starter to the year. So despite bumping up from PSA 9 to 9.5, I think I made $100 on the entire transaction. And then quickly after I sold it, Jokic stuff and MVP hype just started taking off.
That's usually how it goes, though, right?
Yeah, of course. Buy high, sell low.
Buy high, sell low. Jokic is a favorite of mine in basketball in terms of just watching him play. I'm a big fan. It is, not surprising that he doesn't get a lot of hobby love. The big men historically have not gotten a lot of love. But with Jokic, I want to do a callback to a really old start of the podcast series that we used to have, where you like to talk about unheralded rookies. When rookie cards of guys who are not hyped up coming into the leagues that they are professionals in, and how that impacts like how cool you think their rookie cards are. So Max, what is the first rookie card that comes to mind when you think of Jokic?
Maybe because you premised this with unheralded rookies, but I'm thinking of the 2015 Donruss with him shooting a fadeaway.
The rated rookie?
Yes, partly because that's reminiscent of Christian Wood's rookie, and that how both Christian Wood and Nikola Jokic have so few rookies that the lot of significant attention goes to the Donruss, and that makes us have valuable Donruss rated rookie cards again, which is very silly.
Yes, I totally forgot about that quick sec when the hobby was in love with Christian Wood. His base rookies were going for like $80 for a sec there. That was real peak 2020 stuff.
Yes, we've never left.
Insane. We've never left 2020. Welcome to the Young Old Heads podcast, live from the year 2020. But no, I wanted to bring it up because Jokic on TCDB, this is including printing plates and all parallels. He has 231 different rookie cards, while Zion Williamson has 2015. So Jokic has essentially, I mean, Zion has essentially 100 times the rookie cards of the Jokic. Um, so in terms of the things of like Jokic does not have a lot of different rookie cards, which usually me and you like to talk about leads to higher values being put on the base cards, not as much competition. Um, Jokic doesn't even have a hoops rookie, I don't think. He is missing a lot of the big sets that like nowadays in 2023, that's where people are going to find their collect their rookies and stuff. A lot of his rookies are like national treasures, noir, kind of higher end stuff. Um, but you have any thoughts, Max, on the Jokic collectability? Like when you're going traveling around, how often are you finding a guy whose case is full of Jokic cards?
It is a rare development, and by rare I mean a present for me in all football basketball that I do not know ball, and that I don't really know much outside of Prism and Prism Color, and obviously for the bigger players, Optic and Select, and then the big boys, you have Flawless, National Treasures, and Contenders and other brands. But with that being said, it really just has to make sense when I'm targeting a card to buy. And usually the parallels are either hard to find at shows in the first place, and if they aren't hard to find, usually have cornered. And if they are present, they either usually have corner damage, which most Prism has because Prism quality control is horrendous, or they are above comps, which is fine, which is cool because parallel color can be hard to find.
Yeah, I did some binder reorganization this weekend slash binder creation. I started a Prism basketball binder with also Topps Chrome refractors in it. So it's all Prism parallels and Topps Chrome basketball parallels in one binder. In doing so, you really get to see the year by year progression of Prism parallels for basketball. And one thing of note for Jokic, I mean, 2015, I'm going to make the case, Max, that 2015 is probably my favorite year of Prism basketball ever. I love the All NBA insert sets, the All Star ones. I feel like they killed it that year. So I do feel like Jokic benefits from the good year of Prism and having a Prism rookie card.
I
That light,
don't I don't know if it's universally accepted as 2015 being the best year of Prism, given that there's only really Devin Booker and Jokic, obviously, in that set. I don't even really love the aesthetics. So here's my breakdown as someone who is artistically illiterate. You have 2012 Prism and 2013 Prism, which are just portraits or action shots of the players. It's all chromium. The only color on the card is the logo, and there's a lot of blank, empty space. I don't know what that term is to describe blank, empty space, but it's present.
I'm going to look it up. I
Okay.
think I know. I think I know.
Okay, go get that one, Jamie. And so with that, you throughout the years, you're progressing more and more each year. You're getting less and less empty space onto the card. So now we have 2022 Prism, not only with Monopoly logos. I'm not going to beat the dead horse to a pulp, but you have the courts as the background pictures, and you have action shots, and you have what is essentially just a chrome perimeter of the card and a player with an action shot. My preferred year of Prism, and I am biased because this is the years of Prism that I ripped, was 2013 and 2014. I think 2014, you have the Picasso like cubism with the triangles.
Get the
With
die cuts.
no, I'm not saying with the die cuts. I'm just saying there's a perfect amount of space, but yet the design still flourishes.
Oh, okay. The word I thought was liminal space, liminal, but I don't know. I looked it up and the
You
definition
know what I mean?
confused
You
me.
know what I mean, though, man, right?
I know what you mean, man.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. This is an art analysis podcast.
Yeah, I was gonna say, cards are art. We are on the record saying that collecting cards, you are allowed to say that you are an art collector.
So speaking of card art, I sold a Project 2020 card that I've owned for since the pandemic. Sophia Chang. So I don't know how deep down the rabbit hole many of these viewers were in 2020, but and into the Project 2020 rabbit hole. But Project 2020 cards had some of their artists released companion cards, which was just another way for the artists to make more money. And they could do whatever they want because they were just standalone pieces, and they could say, "Oh, it's a companion to the main tops piece for $20 that no one is getting in hand." So I bought at the time a Sophia Chang, who is a Tops 2020 project artist, companion card of Mike Trout. I want to say it was $90. And I think it was 1 out of 10 orders would get an autograph by the artist on the companion card. And I actually hit that. I got the artist autograph 1 out of every 10 companion cards. So there was a print run of 900 cards, $90, right? So it is now
Not
2023.
this person sold 900 of those at $90.
Oh yeah,
Oh my God, what a time.
yeah. Let's get a quick little math check on that. 900 divided by $90. There's 81K that she made off this, and I sold the artist autograph, the 1 out of 10 order pull on eBay today for $40.
Has it been listed on eBay this whole
Or
time?
like apparently like a year ago, someone I had it listed at $50, and someone's like, "Can you do 40?" And I'm like, "Fuck no." And then today they're like, "Hey, it's still up. Can you do 40?" And I'm like, "Fine." I can't.
Dude, I did that with a card yesterday too, where I'd been watching this Dustin Johnson golf relic for fucking 2 years probably. I threw in like a 30% offer on the card and the guy accepted it immediately and I was like, well shit, what am I doing?
I
Why
think like at the time I sent used the send offer feature to send a $40 offer, and it just was not responded to, so that hurt a little.
yeah.
But
Well, people go on vacation, you never know. But
yeah, now
I'm
I've
glad
got so related to that, I now have to find this card because this was in my earlier days of eBay listing where it wasn't as organized, especially with items that were not like just penny sleeve and top loadable. So I dug through my full Project 2020 collection today. It is a mess. It's not pretty. I look past all. Why are you shaking your head?
what
Is,
what's this Project 2020 PC?
what do you mean you've never known that I was a huge Project 2020 head?
No, I knew you were a big head. I didn't know you still had boxes of it.
Well, what am I gonna do? Sell them for $5 where shipping's $4?
I don't know,
Oh,
man.
I don't
Dream
think you know. We weren't talking then. You didn't take me out to dinner at this point yet,
we
figuratively.
weren't we weren't homies.
Yeah, we weren't besties yet. No, I was very very deep down the Project 2020 rabbit hole. I've made money. I made some. I think I might have made more money on it than I lost, simply because I cooked some companion cards and I cooked some autograph cards. Okay, so actually, wait. This is kind of cool. So the since we're reflecting on Project 120 anecdotes, do you know the artist Natural?
Only through cards have I heard of
Yeah,
him.
yeah, yeah. So he likes the Picasso cubism, and his Mike Trout companion card was a trout being hooked by a fishing line, but it's not a fishing line; it was a Mike.
Hmm.
So Mike Trout, and it's honestly a gorgeous card. He sold like 900 of them at $90 or 500 of them at $90. But regardless of that, I think he shock dropped gold ink artist autographs. And I think I bought one for out of 27. And I bought one for like $200 or something like that, $250. And I sold it for like 700. At that time, that was like my best career flip ever. And I owned a sick piece.
That's sick.
It, it,
I liked. No, keep going.
no, it is a sick piece. And the artist autographs are cool.
I
But
was
I
gonna say
still have a bunch of junk, some bunch of junk in my little holder, in my little
I,
Tupperware.
I would love to know what did you how many foils did you hit over the time?
So Project 2020 foils were only a thing for I believe the last of the 20 cards for Project 20 for each artist.
Oh, okay, okay.
Because it hadn't got
So
off that far ahead yet.
is there any of those that are like still popping off, like still hold like a pretty high value
The
over what they were
thing,
sold for?
the well, there's a few. I think the Ermsey Trout is still a $300 card. I wanted to do a full Ermsey run, but ironically, I don't think I got the Trout or the Ichiro, even though the Trout is very cool. Um,
Still
one of
does
my
$300 though? That's pretty nice.
so that's $300, and I think the Natural Jackie is another big card from
That's
the
the
time.
only that's like the only artist though that like holds a premium.
No, just the specific because those are like the early print cards. Okay, I'm just seeing that a natural. Wow, No, yeah, Natural Jackie just did about $140,
I love
and
when
then
we get your
PSA
actual
8,
reaction.
a PSA 8 did 62. But the thing is, like, think about the scope like this. Not only are they new releases, but or they were new releases at the time. This was during the COVID boom, while everything else was popping off. Like the
Yeah.
reason why you would go for a Project 2020 Trout was because PSA 10s were literally doing $5,000, and that was just never going to be attainable for almost every human being.
I like to imagine that in 2020, there's like a big Discord of like artists, and then one of them's like, "Yo, guys, like I found a way to make money. Like this is a loophole in life to make money. Like you just reach out to Tops, you say you want to do a Project 2020 card, and then you can sell
Well, it was 20 artists,
900."
20 artists doing 20 sets of cards. 20 artists doing one set of card each across 20
True,
players.
true. I
No,
guess, I guess, I don't know.
yeah, I'm just surprised about how much Project 2020 education that this is just such like I still talk to like I have like a core group of people that were like Project 2020 heads, and I still talk to them and they're great, and half of them are Twitter or on Twitter, and they're great.
Can you give some shout outs here to anyone?
Yeah, I was just about to go give some shout outs.
I own one Project 2020 card, one of them. It
One
is, I think it's the Ben Baller Ricky Henderson, I think,
Top Project 2020 cards are cool to an extent, and that is
to
going to
an
be.
extent. All right.
Um, I think we're done here. But
I
dude,
think we're done with,
what if Snoop
we
Dogg had cards, man?
fucking Snoop Dogg, dude. Snoop
What
Dogg out here making cards.
I remember I'm just like telling my real life friends, man, like every single one of these have been at a higher price than what they sold for. There's literally
You're,
never been one that has been less for what the retail was. And that was true.
that was true until it wasn't true, though.
Yes, that is true.
Well, I'm glad we had this really random anecdotal side note about Project 2020 cards, Max. I learned something new about you all the time. I knew you were a big Project 2020 fan. I did not
That's
know
how it
that.
goes.
Yes, I did not know you're still holding.
Why do you hate art, man?
I don't hate art. We had to transition from you talking about art to Project 20. That was just an easy transition. It had to be done. It had to be done, Max.
Yeah.
Um,
So speaking of art, Nikola Jokic is passing.
Nicholas, not a sports analysis podcast, but he does have some beautiful rookie cards. You were hating on 2015 Prism. That was what brought us to this conversation somehow. The light blue 2015 Prisms are some of the nicest cards you'll ever see. I'm on record. And there's also a really nice Steph Curry card where it's Steph and then it's LeBron in the back.
Oh.
Did I cut out?
No, I was saying he's dribbling, right? Or no?
No, he's going in for a layup. I know our friend Eric, those back pages, he has a notorious thing about Steph has, I think, only one Prism card where he's shooting, the greatest
Really?
shooter of all time. All his Prism cards are him dribbling or doing layups. Um, Weird side note, weird fact about Prism basketball. There, no Steph Curry shooting once. I think. Trying to remember what year it was, but like, there's that one where he's driving on Laurie Markkinen. It's like 2019. It's like, who's making these decisions? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. But I know it is a little bit of a fun gripe where it's, oh yeah, Fernando Tatis has a horizontal rookie card and he is fielding when he is not known for his glove, or horizontally designed cards are pretty atrocious in general. So what is the decision making behind that makes that a choice for a marquee rookie card? I don't know. I don't work with the design at Tops.
No, you do not. But you do work for Cards Max Incorporated, and I
Yes.
want to know, what is Cards Max Incorporated? What has he been up to this week?
What have I been up to this week? I've just carrying on from the last week's episode. I've just been buying a ton to grade, or I've been trying to at least. I've been buying more and more vintage. I now own two Walter Johnson portraits, which is super dank. They're both ones, but they're both super dank. Um, I have to think of shows that I can go to in the near future. My real life schedule and otherwise is a little bit up in the air, but even the local show scene is a little bit dry right now. So just so that I can enjoy and I can talk about my pieces, my cardboard more often. And what I think is perfect about my PSA one Walter Johnson and my SGC one Walter Johnson is that the SGC one is very soiled on the front to where you can clearly tell the difference in color between that and my PSA one, which is a PSA one MK because it has paper loss and scribbles on the back. And it generates the discussion, not just the cliche, oh, but my eye appeal, but the visual differences between the two cards are just so large and significant between each other. That is a very compelling point of, yeah, I'm going to be higher on one of these than the other. And I want to have a card for every person and every buyer. And where it makes sense for me to have a card to attain, it is my job to broker it and have it in someone's home. And in the meantime, fuck you, I get to enjoy it in my home.
Some would call
Oh,
you a card broker.
these Bryce Harper autos that I've owned for almost a year now are still in my hand. Yeah, because they're sick and the market has not corrected to my satisfaction yet, and they're sick.
Yes, I'm glad you're still holding those. I feel like that was a big young old heads topic at the time of purchases. One plus one equals two. So I'm excited to see how the Walter Johnsons turn out and the difference in selling. I feel like, Max, correct me if I'm wrong here. As you go down the grading scale, the range, like the relative range of price gets bigger. Like PSA 10s, the range is relatively tight. PSA 9, a little bit wider. PSA 8, even wider. All the way down to 1. PSA 1 should theoretically have the largest relative price range. Do you agree with that or disagree?
That is absolutely true, which is kind of incidental because you have the most variance in what can make a PSA 1, and whether that's a pinhole or whether that means a card being completely destroyed, it makes it two different things.
Yeah. I
And
feel like, no, go
mhm.
ahead.
Yeah, and by that same token, like you can have, I mean, something that 1948 Leaf is notorious for is its horrible centering. And I know some modern raw to grade submitters can get a little upset about, oh, it has to be within 60/40 at most, or usually within 55/45 centering. But your PSA 2s, ignoring an OC qualifier because OC qualifiers are what a grade card grade would be if it weren't for the centering. You can have 90/10 centered PSA 2s. And that's not just, oh, the color or the soiling or the creases. That is just a mathematical, this is what the centering is allowed to be. You cannot have a PSA 7 that's 90/10 centering. That is forbidden.
That is forbidden.
It is forbidden.
That's cool. Well, how much difference? Don't you don't have to say the actual value if you don't want to say, but for the
Like,
Walter Johnsons, how much of a discount did you get for the one that's fucked up on the front as opposed to being fucked up on the back?
people are very anal about paper loss sometimes. And my response to that, just from the collector and just genuineness, is that you're looking at the front of the card. I know I'm priced, like, in my opinion, like the SGC one that I own is like a mid-range one, and the PSA one I have is like an above average one. And I think I'm priced on eBay on both of them. I think my Walter Johnson I'm at 2250, and my SGC one I'm at 1750. And that
Okay.
is like my logic for the pricing of those. And the thing with ones is that you also, especially with like vintage, is that you also have to look at the altereds and the authentic altereds. And what's a little crazy is that some authentic altereds that look really nice will outperform other similar cards. And authentics in general, the appearance of the authentic, and half the time it doesn't even distinguish if it's authentic because it's just in terrible shape, or if it's authentic because it is trimmed or color added or something else like that. So you also have to look at your authentic sales and try to at least digest them as to what someone is willing to pay for a PSA 0 or PSA 1 card.
Yeah. No, I'm interested to see how that turns out in terms of what you end up selling them
Yeah.
for. I
Uh,
did I did rip a box this week, Max, which I haven't done in a while. Did you see what I ripped?
Um, this week, what you ripped?
So I ripped a Series 2 hobby box,
Okay,
2023
I didn't
Top
know that
Series
was.
2.
I didn't know that was 2 weeks ago.
No, you're good. You're good. I
No, no,
pulled a
like
nice.
your West whatever director TikTok is still ingrained into me forever.
Oh, that rip of that weird product. Yeah, no. So Series 2. I just want to give a quick review here since I ripped a hobby. Pulled a nice little trout, or not trout, Otani blue silver pack. I think out of 150. So that was at least redeeming. I pulled a out of 75 Mookie Betts World Baseball Classic gold parallel. And then what was the other one? I pulled like a trout parallel insert that wasn't numbered. So overall, good box, Max. Best rip I've had from just straight flagship in a while. But I do love the World Baseball Classic inserts. We did talk about World Baseball Classic cards, Max. They're finally
Mhm.
coming out in packs. I have a box of World Baseball Classic, the like actual online release, waiting for me in Oakland at my parents' house right now.
Mhm.
I'm excited to rip that. Max, you are you in on Anthony Volpe? Is this like have you flipped any of his cards at all? I know we do need to talk about the blue foil parallel out of 9.99. That is just
Yeah,
a ripoff.
we have a lot to discuss. So I'll tack the easiest one first. Anthony Volpe, ice cold as a player, super, super hot and easy to move in spring training, very, very difficult afterwards. I have an Atomic out of 100 Bowman Chrome Auto that was a BGS 9, and I turned it into a PSA 10. Otherwise, I would probably be underwater on that card because I paid strong on it. And so, no, Anthony Volpe, very difficult to move. World Baseball Classic boxes, very cool release. The boxes have tanked in price to like $50 per. While they were in limbo, not in hand, they were doing like 85 to $100 per, which is absurd. Um, but I think it's a pro fun release. I am in on World Baseball Classic. You're not going to like this, Tommy. You know you are. This is not going to be new information to you, but the problem with ripping, especially now that I'm progressively operating with more and more singles, is that even the big I know you don't do it for the big hits. You do it for the love of the game, which is why I'm pro from that standpoint. But even if you're doing it for the Julio Gatorade Bath SP in 2022 Tops update, that's a $200 card. PSA 10, that's a $600 card, or was at the time of release. Now it isn't, but at time of release, that was 200 and $500 to $600 respectively. And with hitting that raw card, you're getting at like you're still operating at a loss on the box if it doesn't gem, or you're breaking even, and that's a 1 in maybe 50 player checklist type image variation type checklist card. So point being, unless it's a 1 of 1 rookie, because really that's it. Your flagship parallels aren't going to bail you out, really. Do you have any chance that you have of hitting them? And
Yeah,
the
keep going.
allure of flagship, I don't know if it's just that we haven't had enough of a hype machine in baseball rookies yet, even with Julio Rodriguez, but it's just I can't even the phrase that I've said on this podcast before and that I say now, I PC Gleyber Torres. I cannot pull any more Gleyber Torres rookie cards from baseball pack I cannot pull a Gleyber Torres rookie card from a pack of 2023 Top Series 2. I can't do it. I'd have to rip 2018 for that.
Yeah.
So
Uh, keep
so
going.
I'll wrap it up. Buying, not only is it cliche, but buying the card you like will get you farther in the long run. And ripping for the rip is very fun. That was my thorn. Okay. My rose is that online exclusive releases and releases where you're not familiar with the card design, you statistically have a much better chance at a big hit and something that at least freshes the taste up a little bit. Plus, not to mention it's lower print and that you actually have a better chance of breaking even. But financials aside, I think online exclusives in general, and you know I'm a Tops Now guy, online exclusives in general yield a higher enjoyment per entry point dollar ratio for me. Tommy and I were discussing free show the danked dollar ratio, and I think that's higher in online releases than there are in flagship and other primary releases. And that's because we're huge brains. Anyone listening to this podcast is a gigabrain. You recognize online exclusives exist when most of the world doesn't. They just see a pack in Target and they want to go buy it. They're not thinking about World Baseball Starship Classic Edition. No, that's for us supreme brains to think about. And that's why we're
Yeah,
by ripping the more fun, unique product.
and that's because you're a oligarch, Max. Online exclusives are inaccessible. I don't like it the way I think about it, and obviously I rip for the rip. I am spending money on this knowing that it is very likely that I'm getting $0 back essentially. Luckily, I got at least some money back by getting a nice little Otani parallel, but I love to rip. Online exclusives, tough to find. I think they're often not the nicest quality cards. I mean, anything that's not a chrome base card, I feel like is going to have a hard time sustaining value on the secondary market. I do believe all the autographs are also stickers. Max, correct me if
I
I'm wrong there.
think you are correct.
Yeah, sticker autos mixed with not interesting parallels, I feel like leads to like a bad online release. Kind of lazy by tops. Like at least give us something different than that. Like they gave us the world flag inserts, like shocker. It's the World Baseball Classic. You're using the flag as an insert. Like that's pretty
Okay. Do you know what one of the coolest subsets of all time is?
tops 3D.
Kind of. Not where I was going, but acknowledged. Cool set. 2014 Tops update Future Stars image variations, where players with the Future Stars logo on the cards had an image variation of maybe the World Baseball Classic team. I'm not sure
No,
because I
it's the
think that
features game.
Future,
No,
I know it's Future Stars game. Yeah, Future Stars game. And Mike Trout has a Future Stars, even though he didn't have a Future Stars in the main release. They gave him a Future Stars image variation. And I pack pulled that back in the day, and it was sick. But point being, team flags are cool. The 2014 Bowman home state flag set or home country, some of the coolest image variations that we have. I think Jake DeGrom has like a Florida flag behind him. I don't know.
well
Yeah, no,
that's the thing though, Max. Is like you remember all these cool flag sets, and this one is so underwhelming, and it should be either the greatest one ever. I don't
I
know.
was gonna say you're a George Carlin history brain in this chat right now. It's like thou shalt not shame flags.
I'm not shaming flags, dude.
Sure, I
I'm just
don't know what the flag of Serbia looks like, but I can point you to it on a map.
there you go. Columbus did not discover America, but Max did discover cards.
And Serbia.
Shout out Jokic. Something that I wanted to talk about initially, and I totally forgot to bring this up after we got sidetracked with art somehow in the middle of this conversation. But I do want to circle back with Jokic real quick and talk about why big men don't get as much love in the hobby. And honestly, Max, Jokic, is he more collectible than Luca at right now, the present moment?
No.
No.
To be honest, man, who collects anyone anymore, especially in the basketball world?
Fuck off. So we got Jokic. We got
Who I
pitchers.
don't know a single person that collects Luca. I know more people that collect Melo than people that collect Luca.
Mm,
Do I dare say
Jason.
I don't think I've ever met a Luca collector ever?
Nah, you have.
Who is like, oh yeah, like this, and I'm gonna poke fun at Jason a little bit. Wow, this Court Kings level 4 Luka Doncic 30 is fucking sick. I'm tripping on balls right now and acid just staring at it. And if anything, and I respect his collecting taste. I think the Donruss Elite PMG lookalikes are sick, but outside of Jason Dardick, who else has been like, yo, that's a fucking sick subset?
What about this question? Who would you
Okay.
rather have? Who do you think is more collectible? Nikola Jokic or Justin Verlander?
I think I'm leaning Verlander.
So I was hoping you were going to say Verlander because I do
Yeah.
think that as much hate as pitchers get in the baseball card collecting world is like people always saying, "Oh, pitchers aren't valued high enough," or there's always a discrepancy between the best pitchers and like the
I feel
actual
like
best.
the current events biased answer would have been Jokic, but I mean, truthfully, like I've had a friend be like, "Hey, if you see Justin Verlander color Bowman Chrome autos, let me know." Hey, if you see like, and same thing usually goes with Kershaw and Joey Votto and a lot of those guys from like the 2005 to 2015 era. It's like, hey, if you see color ink of these guys, I want it. If you see rare cards of these guys or chrome parallels of these guys, I want it. I That doesn't exist not just for Jokic, but most of basketball.
Yeah, here's what do you think about the fact that like you're hanging out with people our age for the most part, and like the people that are collecting heavy right now are probably like the single collectors that are like not have too many expenses. We go after those guys from that age range. Right now, the people that are kids right now watching Jokic aren't going to have just a ton of disposable income for another 10, 20 years. You know?
That's a good take. I think the correct rebuttal for that would be that okay, there's LeBron collectors, but what is the strength of Carmelo collectors and D Wade collectors? And obviously, he's had a bad career, but bad end of his career. But Dwight Howard collectors, Chris Paul collectors, where this was our age of basketball, where these players were in their prime when we were growing up. The amount of collectors there, I don't want to say it, but I've noticed this in the basketball market more so that there are a lot of people that collect football, but I want to say half of the interesting basketball cards that I see, because I literally look at eBay auctions every single night buying cards. I've done it tonight already. I have my gigs and snipes in. I religiously do it every single night, starting at about 5 o'clock Eastern time. Almost, I'd say half of the interesting basketball cards that I see online at auction on any given time are in Asia, and they're being shipped from Asia, and that is a huge amount of the demographic that is ripping basketball wax right now. And those are the people that are spending big money on logo mans, on flawless patch autos, on every expensive card under the sun. Because I don't think the domestic United States collectors exist. And apropos of that, that's why basketball has fallen off the hardest post COVID, because that was also what boomed the hardest, the lack of collectors.
How much do you think the sneaker collector market impacts that? Like, while baseball, I don't like other than signed baseballs, I don't think there's a single other thing you can collect in baseball related that is as popular as cards. While basketball fans, I think that the basketball shoe collecting world is probably overall has more participants than the basketball card collecting community. What do you think of that?
I think the card buyers and sellers that were integrated from sneaker culture have either left, obviously, or have immersed themselves in cards deep enough to where are able to successfully pivot and merch football. In addition to
Yeah, but
basketball,
no, that's
like
fair. But I'm saying,
that's what I think happened. I think they also became football fluent, and they just left the basketball once it started dipping.
yeah, because the closest thing to the basketball card market is like the football QB market, or at least it was in 2020.
It's the same
But
sets.
I just hear that a lot though. You know, like basketball is a popular sport, but why is it not collected as much as baseball? I'm gonna throw that out there as a possible reason for that.
Really,
Um,
my response to why is basketball the biggest sport but doesn't have nearly the market share or watchability in the United States that football has is always that it's so much like the teams aren't people aren't fans of okay, people are fans of teams in basketball, but the star player and their narrative and their cultural impact is what both brings collectors to it and what brings fans to it. You know, people are LeBron fans more than they are Cavaliers, Lakers, and Miami Heat fans. If you are
okay,
a like I'm saying, if you are a fan of LeBron, you're probably religious to LeBron.
yeah, I feel like there are a ton of LeBron collectors, and I do think
Oh,
there will
yeah,
be
that's why
Jokic.
I specifically didn't say LeBron. LeBron is collected.
I also sneaky thing about Jokic is that he plays in Denver, and I do feel like Colorado has like a disproportionate amount of sports card collectors for some reason, or at least that is the feeling online. Like there are a lot of people who collect Denver sports teams pretty heavily.
Yeah,
I also
that's why that's why the Verlander question made me hesitate and think a little bit because that is a niche market that has a very clear superstar and a very obvious superstar for where people would want to collect. And they're not big enough market to where people from all over the world would want to specifically collect Denver Nuggets cards the way they would want to collect Dallas Cowboys and New York Yankee cards. So that's why I had to think about, okay, well, then Nikola Jokic, outside that he is a center, is has enough niche aspects about him to where he can be collected, but isn't mainstream enough for everyone who wants to collect him. Thus, I'm sure if this were a lesser basketball player, there'd be people with hordes of him in PCs. It's just that for good reason, he's expensive.
Yeah, I do think that's an interesting fact about Jokic, though, is like just the Denver. Like he might, I th- I think if they win tonight and he's Finals MVP, I think that would make him the greatest Denver athlete of all time, minus John Elway. I guess John Elway's who he's competing with a little bit in that market.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna shut us down now, Max. We've had a really
Yeah, this is
incredible
a
education.
like everything in this podcast operates around Nikola Jokic, and I'm going to say that for the next 30 episodes for the next half year until that's ingrained into every listener's headset.
We're doing more for the Jokic market than anyone. Um,
Yes.
this was a really weird one, Max. Weird podcast, but I do think it was very educational on the low, like very randomly turned super educational
No,
throughout the whole
I,
thing.
we really dissected what is collectibility. Um, I think I want to roll off last 5 eBay buys just out of tradition and because I'm
Please do.
not most recent eBay buy was a pack of 100 bubble mailers for $9.93 from the eBay store. So as an eBay store, you have a $25 coupon to use on eBay shipping supplies. And I forgot to use that in Q1 of 2022. And I'm using it now in Q2. It resets every 3 months as the quarter. So it's not just an indefinite, like all of them will expire on June 31st. So I grabbed, I think the listing price was $34.93. I used my $25 coupon and I got my 100 bubble mailers for $9.93. And it's cheaper if you go in bulk. I do a lot of buying and selling. I don't know if I can I think it's like 100, 200, 400. I don't know if I could be doing 200 bubble mailers every quarter, but I don't think I'm doing 400. So that was my first eBay buy. My second eBay buy and third eBay buy, which is something that you hate, are Sam Howell Contenders autos. They're going
Fucking
at all.
Christ.
I'm going to lose money doing this. I think right now I've bought 4 Sam Howell Contenders autos. I'm subbing 2 of them, and the other 2 rejected my test. And hopefully this is Tommy Vaughn approved in the prospecting category. But I also bought a Jalen Williams Contenders auto out of 99.
Yes, yes, Jalen Williams, big fan.
The Oklahoma City Thunder are my 13-year-old wet dream of 2K my GM.
Did I have I given my Jalen Williams thought on here?
No, but he gave your Benedict Mathurin thoughts last week.
All right, I've never talked about. All right, Jalen Williams, Santa Clara, great
Oh,
player. Other Jalen Williams, also great player. But I have an idea for the Oklahoma City Thunder to increase marketing and make their team better. I
okay.
think they need to move to a town that they then rename Jalen Williams. They then rename the team Jalen Williams. And then they make every single player on the team change their name to Jalen Williams. And then you have the Jalen Williamses with a full roster of Jalen Williamses.
Yes, but with Lou Dort.
I do approve of Jalen Williams if it's the one that I'm thinking of and not the other one.
Okay, cool. And yeah, I actually don't have a fifth. I don't think I have a fifth buy that's came in the mail this week. I had a Tamar Johnson Gold Bowman Chrome Auto that is about to go under the loop. Oh, and I bought no, I talked about it last week. Yeah, those are my eBay buys. You have heard it here first and last.
I'm glad to see that you're stocked up on bubble mailers, Max. I have a few eBay buys to talk about. Uh, I am loading up on one specific card that I talked about a little bit earlier in the podcast history. The 2023 Top Series 1 Julio Rodriguez Gold out of 2023. Um, this card is selling for like $15 shipped on eBay right now, and I'm buying it every single time I see it. I'm gonna stock hold these cards, and I don't think I'm even gonna get rid of them, Max. I think I might just sit on them for like a long time. Just buy a bunch of
It's
the golds.
it's such like I felt the same way with my Trout Tops plaque parallels, and I do still kind of feel that way. I just am in a love hate relationship. Um, it's such a cool feeling when you're intentionally owning multiples of a card. Like I hate to actually I don't hate to, but like I feel so like I'm probably gonna hit the gym tonight. And by probably I am because I'm not a little bitch. But now that I own two Walter Johnson portraits, it's like, give me a third. I want to have a whole desk of Walter Johnson portraits, and there's nothing you can fucking do about it except buy one from me. No, they're not that scarce, but it's such a cool feeling of like, the people that just have like rows of Manals and you're having rows of Golden State Warrior parallels. It's like the same thing. And I'm having rows of Bryce Harper 661 autograph short prints 2012 autos and Sam Howell contenders autos. Rows of them. It's like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I am the market. Come at
Yeah,
me.
come at me. But if anyone sees this card listed for $15 or less shipped, I will buy it every time. Feel free to tag me.
Yeah.
Speaking of Prism basketball, 2017 Prism basketball is a unique year because it includes coach cards.
Yes.
Um,
Greg Popovich cards are cool.
yes, they're very cool. Red, white, and blue being an X Factor type look that year, also very cool, I think. Um, I have been stocking up on the Steve Kerr. I'm trying to do a little mini rainbow. I have the Mojo Prism that I got off Hayden, HB Miller, the man. But I just added the orange out of 49. I got that for, what do you think?
$13.
15.25 plus 4.75 shipping. A
Okay.
little steep. Uh, I was in auction and I did not want to lose the auction, so paid a
No,
little over $20 for it.
have to always win the auction. I mean, look, I I mean, I do this for cards that I grade, but I also do this with any card that I genuinely would want. It's like if you want to buy the card, you buy the fucking card. If you think, oh, like if it's like if you're thinking about like what your max bid should be relative to market, add 10% of that and then make that your max bid. Because if you want the card, you're buying the card. No one is going to bulldoze you. You want the card. Obviously, in my context, I'm doing it from a standpoint of I want the card to grade and make money. And fuck you, I'm not letting someone go and take that from me. But if you're doing it from a collection, which is even more important because you never even know if it's ever going to come up again, then you secure the bag.
You secure the bag. That's the main lesson from today.
Yeah.
The other card that I meant, or actually, I got a Luis Garcia gold refractor. The guy,
Which
Luis
Luis
Garcia,
Garcia?
the Astros pitcher.
Astros or Nationals? Ooh, Astros is good. Not as
Is he
good as an
good?
out. Not well. I mean, you watch baseball, and I watch baseball too, as my number one fan would say. That Luis Garcia has one of the funkiest pitching deliveries in baseball, and he is now the pitch clock probably ruined his. I think it was the pitch clock, but I'm not sure if they. I think because of the pitch clock, the part of his delivery went off the rubber, and like no umpire ever called anything. But I think because of the pitch clock regulations, his delivery was a violation because he would have a little turn 90-degree angle, and I think he would come off the mound during that. So he had to completely, I don't think completely, but he had to modify his delivery, and now he has Tommy John, and now he's under the knife, not playing for the season.
Oh shit! Well, guess how much his gold refractor out of 50 Gold Cup from last year cost?
It's going to be under $10.
Would you believe in 99 cents?
Was it an auction?
Yeah, I wanted. It was the only bidder on a 99 cent option, $2 shipping. Got it for $3. basically. So that was a fun
No,
one.
I'm pro that. Um, I think with set collecting, there is a love of set collecting, which is why it's so important. And really, especially because I see this when in dialogues with more vintage set collectors, like 33 Gaudi, the 50s top sets, to a lesser extent, the 60s top sets. The important thing to remember is that if you're set collecting, you can buy the full set cheaper, always. But you're doing it for the love of it. Part of the issue that I have with T206 is that the first 520 cards, to an extent, you can just buy them. Like it'll take a little while, and maybe if you want them at the price you want, it'll be cheaper. You'll have to take a little bit longer, but ultimately, you're not going to have trouble finding the first 520. With off-backs, and in this context, Tommy, parallels, you have to find them. And the
Max,
single,
in 50 years, are there going to be people collecting sets of Topps Chrome Gold refractors?
no, which saddens me.
No, I
Oh,
disagree.
I
I
guarantee.
disagree.
Tommy, if the answer were yes, I would be collecting gold refractor sets every year
Why don't you do it?
because I'm not going to be able to maintain value in that.
Okay.
Like the purchase price of my gold refractor is going to be worth less in 50 years. Unless
Uh,
it's 2003 tops basketball, no one cares about the parallels. And it's sad. I hate it. I hate that so much, but that's just not a tenant of modern collecting.
well, I'm going to disagree with you as our last statement here. I do think in the long run, those things will come a little bit more into fad, and that'll be more of a thing in the future.
I want to say,
Especially,
think about it like this: Topps Chrome, because I know because I collected almost the entirety, almost of 2021 Topps Chrome Black White Mini Diamond set. I was averaging about $10 a card, including all the big names. You can roll your eyes. The Trout costs $50. The Dylan
I was
Carlson
going to,
like $50. There's any big name costs like $20 because the print run is about 400 or so, and there weren't that many of those boxes actually ripped. So with gold refractors, you have to think you have like $200-$300 gold refractors that exist. Maybe the average cost of that per card. Sure, you have your rare Luis Garcia auction wins at 99 cents, which don't really happen. Your average just a guy, your average Jag is probably going to be $5 to $10. If I have a gold refractor, I'm probably not selling it under $15. This is just me as like operating under a brick and mortar standpoint and a business standpoint of knowing the value of gold out of 50s. Or maybe no, probably $10. I probably wouldn't break $5 to $10. I don't think I'd break 10 on most cards, although there are some, unless it's a really shitty player. But point being, it costs you have across 300 cards an average of 30 cards, an average of $30. That's 9K for a abbreviated 300 card set. That's
yeah.
9K. That's why it's bad. That's why you get worrisome. It's like if you actually have the talent, the grit, the perseverance to do a full gold chrome set, which I think is sick. The problem inherently lies in your conscience telling you that I am never going to get that 9K back. Not out of needing to sell it, but just out of like, wow, I'm a slicked back piece of shit that eats sloppy steaks. I am never going to even justify this purchase to another party. I can talk all about because that's what collecting is. It's not a dick measuring contest, but it is a boast of why you think something is cool to you. And it's not if it's not to impress other people, it's to impress yourself, which is cool, and that's okay. And I love collecting. I am a collector. I am the true collector. But in that, your conscience and your thoughts are a roaring voice. And when it's that much money, $9,000 on a complete set of Topps Chrome Gold refractors. That's sick. But I don't know if it's near five figure sick.
Agree to disagree. Any episode that I get you to talk about your unfinished black and white mini diamond set is a victory for me. So I'm going to pat myself on the back there.
Yes. That's all because of Nikola Jokic.
Yep. And I will say that there's a lot worse ways. If I had $9,000 just laying around, I would absolutely build that set, and that sounds dope as hell.
Yeah.
I've seen people spend a lot more money on worse shit. And on that, Max, we'll see everybody next week.
Yeah. If you have any hinge tips, DM Tommy, which is the group social media publicist. No need to DM me because I kill it on Hinge.